Good evening and welcome everyone. My name is Debbie Rutledge. I'm from our local Toastmasters Club, Sugartown Sweet Talkers. I'll be your moderator for the evening and will also be asking the questions of the candidates. I'd just like to remind everyone to please turn off your cell phones before we begin. Another reminder is the washrooms are out this door and around the corner. And in case of an emergency, the exits are back out the doors that you came in, and you can exit out the front of the building or around the corner and through the back. This is not a debate format. This is a format where the candidates can express their views or explain their positions. We have a lot of candidates this evening. We decided to divide it into four groups of four. The first group of four will answer the first question, the second group of four will answer the next question, and so on. There are, at the end, some very specific questions that have come in for individual candidates. And if there's time in the rest of the evening, we will make sure that we get those questions answered as well. I'll begin with an introduction of the candidates in alphabetical order. The order that you see right now was drawn on earlier in the evening. The candidates in alphabetical order are Garth Beckering, Pat Bremner, Jack Bruin, Blaine Carlson, Peter Cunningham, Carly Firth, Mark Garner, Mike Kirshnack, Monica McLean, Wanda Osborne Campbell, John Papp, Laurie Pritchard, Daniel Remford, Chad Ross, Alf Rudd, and Joanne Sorensen and Joe Storos. We'll begin with the reading of the rules. The rules are each candidate will be given up to 3 minutes to introduce him or herself and present their platform. Speeches will be timed and the lights will be used to indicate when your time is up. 2 minutes, the green light is going to go on. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the yellow, and at 3 minutes, the red. And at this time, I'll ask you to stop. The questions will be asked, and you will have up to 3 minutes to respond. Again, 2 minutes the green light, 2.5 minutes the yellow, and 3 minutes the red. At the end of the evening, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to wrap up and ask for support. The green light will go on at 1 minute, at 1.5 the yellow, and at 2 minutes the red. We'll start with introductions. Pat.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this privilege of sitting here with my fellow candidates. It is indeed a privilege. So, as noted, my name is Pat Bremner. I was born and raised in Calgary, and I learned many things in Calgary, one of which I'm not crazy about big city living anymore. I started my career in Calgary. I hired on with Lucerne Foods, which was a supply division of Canada Safeway. And I hired on as an on-call gopher. Over 35 years, I was able to work myself up to the position of plant superintendent, which I assumed in 2010 in Calgary. And I accepted a lateral transfer to the Taber Juice here in Taber, Juice and Spice Plant in Taber, in 2003. I retired after 35 years in 2010, and as I said, I didn't run back to the big city. I decided to stay in Taber. I think Taber offers a very good quality of life. I invested myself in Taber. I bought a house, I've bought 4 vehicles here. I shop local, and I support Taber in every way I can. I believe very strongly in local democracy. I think we build the community we want to live in. I believe that firmly. So to help build this community, I volunteered at the Taber Public Library for 6 years, 3 of those as chair. I tutored while I was still working at Taber Literacy or Adult Education. After retirement, I decided to run for Holy Spirit school trusteeship. I was acclaimed for 2 terms, and I learned a great deal about governance and advocacy and quite a bit of humility. I believe in equity of opportunity. I believe in Tabor's future, and I want to be part of a group of people that can ensure its bright future. Times are much different than they were when I started here. We walk downtown and we see a different downtown, and I have some thoughts about that. How do we go forward? How do we resurrect ourselves after COVID? How do we keep our young people and attract young people? We have everything here. The past councils have done a great job, an absolutely great job of building up this community. But I think we're at a crossroads, and it's time for a slight change, and I'd like to be part of that change. Thank you.
Wanda.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce holding the 2021 forum. And thank you to the fellow candidates for being passionate about our community. My name is Wanda Osborne. I'm Wanda Osborne Campbell. I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a mother-in-law, a sister-in-law, a friend, a neighbor, a business owner. And now this is my first invention into local politics. I wanted to take this position on the local council because I'm passionate about our community. I'm highly organized individual with clear values, strong work ethics, and talents that enhance kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance. My community is everything to me, and I spend my time giving back to a town that's given so much to me. This includes 9 years on the Tabor Police Commission with 2 years as vice chair, TCAP's Ladies Night Out fundraiser, DA Ferguson Parent Council, Chamber of Commerce Director, previous Cornfest Chair 2004, Adult Learning Council, Safe Haven Council, Handy Bus Council, Tabor Minor Ball, Rebels Football Fundraiser Committee, Advisory to Linden View, Ladies of the 80s Golf Tournament, assisting in the development of Ken McDonald Sports Field, and also fundraising for much needed airbeds and palliative care, and also on the Tabor Hospital Foundation. I know people in the town of Tabor have listened to them on a daily basis and understand them. I'm always open to hearing what they have to say and trying to learn more about things I'm unfamiliar with. People aren't afraid to tell me what they're thinking and feeling because they know I'm a good listener, and I care about Tabor. I've demonstrated that through my history of volunteering on boards and fundraising events and helping out when I can. This is why I feel I'd be a good fit in council, because I've learned the formal process through my time on committees. I'm aware of the plans of town council has in place, understand the bylaws have written and when they are needed, and I bring positive energy to the council and encourage citizens to get involved in the community. Volunteering for council is a difficult role, and I appreciate anybody or any person that volunteers their time in making Tabor a better community. Change could be good, especially when it's formed in a positive and committed energy. I work well with others and has been shown from my work on the TCAPs and Tabor Police Commission and director on the Chamber of Commerce. And I've run a business for 28 years. I believe listening to our community will make a great place. Thank you.
Jack.
Everyone, my name is Jack Bruin and I hope to be re-elected for councillor. I'll try to keep this speech short and sweet. I'd like to begin by thanking the Tabor District Chamber of Commerce, the Tabor Sugartown Sweet Talkers, and Madam Chair for hosting this event this evening and all of you watching online. Ever since I was a young boy, Tabor has been my home. I was born here and raised outside of town on a farm south of Purple Springs. In my first term as councillor, I went through a health crisis involving a liver transplant. During this illness, it was the community of Tabor and family that stood by me and gave me the love and support I needed to keep pushing. After my successful liver transplant, donated by a very generous Taborite, for whom I am forever grateful, I now know I want to live life. My one goal in it, one of my many goals, is to continue to give back to the community that has supported me. I'm proud to say I have not been wasting my gift, as I was recently married to my lovely wife, Kim, who brought Sierra, my wonderful stepdaughter, into my life. I I've already served on council for 2 terms and accomplished a lot of things that I'm proud of. I successfully advocated for the traffic lights at the junction of Highway 3 and 864, the extension of 56th Avenue, the creation of the spray park, and I am currently the secretary of the Highway 3 Twinning Association because I know that twinning of the highway will be a huge economic boost. By making Taber a more attractive place for businesses to come and make highway driving safer for everyone. I will still continue to strongly advocate for the rest of the highway to be completed as well. I also sat on the AUMA Police Act Working Group in Edmonton, which allowed me to see firsthand how great our police service is and how fortunate we are to have our own department that lives here and supports our community. We have a fire department to be very proud of too. I continue to stay connected to the agriculture community by working at the Rocky Mountain Equipment dealership here in Taber. I truly enjoy being a councillor. I love to see how Taber has grown. And for the past 2 terms, I've been blessed to help make decisions on the community's behalf and fight to ensure Taber keeps growing and thriving. I want to make sure that Taber's economy stays strong by enticing businesses to keep coming to our town and supporting those that are here. I want to give the citizens of Taber the opportunity to prosper by ensuring affordable housing and maintaining our wonderful recreational spaces. We need reasons for people to stay in Taber instead of going to nearby cities for their needs, while still maintaining the welcoming generosity of small town Taber where neighbors greet and meet each other with a wave. A strong economy, affordable housing, and quality recreational opportunities will attract and entice both young and old alike to stay here in Taber. I think common sense is important when you sit on any council, and it is a councillor's duty to make the best decisions for anyone in the community. I would love the opportunity to continue to do this for the town of Taber. Thank you for your past and future support.
Peter.
Here tonight, thanks to the chamber. I don't have that many notes prepared. I was born and raised in Taber. I've been here 65 years this month, mostly in the same house. I raised 4 boys by myself, so I think I work well with groups. I think Taber's in a pretty good situation the way it is now with the new fire hall and the recent police station, and things look pretty good compared to some communities. This is my first time to volunteer, and I've got a lot of catching up to do, so please forgive me if I make mistakes along the way. Thank you.
Garth.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the opportunity. Taber Sugartown Sweet Talkers, thank you also. Fellow candidates, pleasure to be here. Too many people here, I think, but whatever. When I left tonight, my wife gave me a big hug and a kiss. She said, "Don't make a fool of yourself." So I said, "What do you mean, dear?" She said, "Don't talk too much about yourself," and which I'm not going to do, because I don't like doing that. My name is Garth Beckering. I've been on council for quite a number of years, as most of you know. I'm known as the great collaborator, peacemaker, and I'm a very pragmatic person. There's almost all the time 2 sides to every story. I'm a listener, even though I like to talk. And my campaign signs say, "Common sense prevails." That's a big motto in my life. Common sense should apply to all of our lives, whether it be at home or in your workplace or in civic government. I just love governance. I'm very well versed in it, I think. I think I'm a reasonable speaker. I represent the people well, and I hope I can be successful in getting your vote. Thank you.
Monica.
Hi, I'm Monica McLean, and I'm grateful to be here, and I thank the Taber Chambers to putting on this event and figuring out all the logistics with this many people running. It's great to see that they are putting this on for all of us to be here. I am also grateful for their efforts in the background with the Facebook page and also sending out all of those questions that we could answer so that people could be more informed about why we're running. My main reason why I'm running is my passion for the town of Taber. I was raised here, and now I am raising my family here. And I want Taber to grow and flourish so that it can be a place where they want to stay. Another reason why I'm running is to have a more diverse council that is representative of our town. I have worked in large organizations such as AHS and a multinational retailer at the head office. I've also worked in small businesses that have allowed me to see the difference that they make in our town and in our community. I have a business background as I graduated from NATE's business program with honors, and I feel that I have gained valuable experience that has prepared me to be the right fit for council. My 3 core platform values are community, diversity, and prosperity. My focus is on growing our community, celebrating our differences, and bringing everyone together to achieve our common goals. I love being involved in our community and getting to know the people here. That is one of the things that I love most about Taber, is that you can walk around and you can run into familiar faces. And I appreciate that of being in a small town. I'm grateful to be in this amazing community, and I see the potential that it has. If I'm elected to town council, I feel there's a few things I'd like to focus on, which are revitalizing downtown, marketing Taber to attract new families and investment, and break down barriers so we are more unified as a community. Thank you.
Carly.
Thank you. I'm Carly Firth. Thank you to the Taber and District Chamber of Commerce and the Sugartown Sweet Talkers for the opportunity. To me, trust is the most important quality to look for in a candidate. Can you trust that the person that you're voting for will have the best interests of the town at heart? I'm not here to promise a bunch of things that I can't deliver on. The reality is that every councillor has 1 vote, and my promise is that I will do my research, consider all points of view, and use my vote to make the best decision for Taber. Some of the best decisions come from diversity. I believe different points of view are important because everyone brings something different to the table. I appreciate what I've learned in the last 4 years from my colleagues on council, both what to do and what not to do. And if you will give me the privilege, I would like to continue to serve the people of Taber through what I anticipate will be a challenging 4 years ahead. Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone behind the scenes for putting this on. I'd like to just say that I bring to the table 64 and a half years of experience in living here. I raised a family here. I've been involved in lots and lots of organizations, and it's been a really rewarding experience for me. I've been involved in the Football Association and worked out at the Ken McDonald Park when it was just being formed. I got the chance to work around hardworking people like Bob Miller and Deb Sargent, Luke Wina, and it was a great experience. I've also been involved in scouting a lot of my time, and it's been a nice experience also. I've enjoyed being on council. It's been a learning experience, and I hope to be re-elected so that we can further the things that we have begun. I think the town of Taber is on a very good trajectory right now. We're well managed, and I think that we're headed in the right direction. So on October the 18th, I would solicit your support.
Lori.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Taber Chamber of Commerce and the Sugartown Sweets. My name is Lori Pitcher. I am relatively new to Taber. I've only been here 4 years, and I see the potential. I see the accomplishments of past council. There's so much more. Since moving here, I have totally fallen in love with Taber. My daughter just recently married a local boy, and we'll be starting a family, so of course I get to be grandma, and I want to make sure that Taber is growing and prospering as it should for young families, as well as for us seniors as we move into our golden years. So I've got a very wide variety of interests in what I want to achieve and accomplish on council. And I would really appreciate the opportunity to do that. My background is I'm a high school graduate with many courses, certificates, diploma programs behind me. I did serve on Bowden Town Council from 2002. I was voted in one of the 6 seats from 13 candidates, and then the second term we were acclaimed in. So I think that's showed what the community thought of us as a council. I actually just heard from a local gal here that she knows someone in Bowden who told her about me, and that made me feel really good, so I appreciate that. And I feel that I've got the fresh eyes and a fresh voice coming into Taber, so I would really appreciate everyone's support. Thank you.
Alf.
Okay, thanks to everyone for making this happen. Yeah, I'm here tonight because of some support from friends and encouragement from others in the community to step forward and apply my skills and my ethics to a leadership position for the town of Taber. I too have been impressed with what's gone on in the town of Taber as far as building and growth and planning, and I want to see that continue. I want stability there to see the growth continue, especially the population growth, the business growth. I do recognize that business relies on investment, relies on private people making a commitment to the community. Our job at council would be to make sure that those people with innovators want to bring business ideas into town, that we can make that happen for them and pave the way. It's we do have a good-looking downtown. It's got some potential, and we just need to be supportive of those businesses that come in and try and set up and make that happen with different strategies that we can apply. I think that I would bring to the table ethical leadership. I've been in leadership position for way too long. It seemed like I did that all my career. After about 9 years of working for the RCMP, I got promoted, and it hadn't stopped until I ended up as police chief in 3 different communities. And I've had experience serving overseas as well, and being exposed to that international, well, it was a war, but but there was a lot of NGOs there, working with them, getting that experience and exposure as well. I bring a variety of experiences in leadership. Some of my concerns that I see happening, and I've laid out in a mail out that I sent out, one of them was following systems. I think that we need to be follow our laws. We need to follow our process. Following process, sticking to the laws, applying the codes of conduct, things like that. That's what brings harmony. That's what brings order, and that's what brings peace. And those are the things that I want, or one of the things that I want to work on, one of the areas. I believe that being cost effective, I've gone through the financial statements for the town in the report last year, and have been pleased with what I see there. I think it still needs a firm hand to keep that going, and I propose that I would bring that and like to have your vote on October 18th. Thank you.
Joanne.
Oh, now my mask is stuck in my earrings. But anyways, I'm Joanne Sorensen. I've lived in Taber for most of my life. My parents had local businesses, which now my sister and my brother-in-law have taken over. My husband and his father have a local business, which I also work at. It's been in the town of Taber for 32 years. So we're fully rooted in Taber, and we're happy to be a part of the town and the community. I have a business management diploma from Grant MacEwan College. I'm married and have 2 adult children. I've sat on several boards as a parent or as a board member. And as my family grew and matured, my volunteering shifted from school and sports to business and community. Anyone who knows me knows I have a hard work ethic. I like to pull up my sleeves and get jobs done instead of standing just on the sidelines. In 2017, I decided to join the local Chamber of Commerce. Being a chamber board member gave me the opportunities which led me to joining committees and participating in economic development planning sessions, not only for the town, but the surrounding area. In 2019, I only had 5 months of being the president until the COVID hit, which kind of sucked, but it happened. The past 19 months have been very difficult, but my supporting local initiatives continue to grow. And I feel that as a town council, I just want to continue with that momentum. So I would like to invest in business vitality, retain and grow businesses in Taber. Supporting local is a passion of mine, and I would like to support local first and Taber grown. Supporting local startup businesses, investing in smart communities. I think it's important for the town to help manage and deliver critical infrastructure to downtown and the industrial areas. Being a smart community would also attract and retain younger residents and families. I would like to continue to offer and develop affordable housing. I'd like to make Taber a culturally vibrant community, continue beautification programs, and clean up our streets and walking trails in industrial areas of these invasive weeds. Let's live up to our responsibility as council and put Taber's best foot forward. Thank you.
John.
Good evening, council candidates and forum viewers. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and to the Sweet Town Talkers for putting this event on for us and showing the town of Taber who we are and what we expect and represent. My family and I are proud to say that we have called Taber and area home for over 50 years. During that time, I have owned and operated my own businesses for 17 years, called Remford Superstop. After selling the business to the Department of Highways for the twinning of Highway 3, we moved into Taber. I was then employed by Rogers Sugar, overseeing their fertilizer operations in Coaldale until the selling of the facility. My next employment journey brings me to where I am today. For 24 years and counting, you will find me with a friendly greeting, happy to assist you as a customer service representative at UFA. In the past, I've been proactive in several boards and committees in Taber. Here are a few of the boards and committees I have been an active part in. They are Municipal Planning Commission, the Taber Police Commission, Subdivision Authority, Internal Audit Operations Committee, Protective Services Committee, Taber District and Housing, and at present I'm a board member on the Taber and District Museum Society. The town of Taber is facing numerous challenges and tough choices this year and years to come. Issues such as aging infrastructure, streets, roads, sidewalks, parks, arena, pool, policing, utilities, and supporting future development that requires investment and strategic decisions to ensure Taber's continued growth. I would like to be part of this while representing you on council. I realize that there are two sides to every story. I am approachable and willing to listen to all questions and concerns brought before me. I am honest, hardworking, and committed, and not afraid to speak up on issues. With my past experience, background in business, dealing with the public, and knowing how to make good, sound decisions makes me the right candidate to be elected to council on Monday, October the 18th. Thank you.
Mike.
Good evening. Hello all, and thanks for having me here. My name is Mike Kirshnak. As you know, I lived in this town for almost 4 decades, and I married a local gal, and we raised 4 kids together, and, or excuse me, 3 kids, and we have 4 grandkids. So, I was born actually in Calgary, born and raised there. I've been coming here my whole life, as my grandparents, both sides, lived here, and I spent every moment I could in this town. So I was always here visiting aunts, uncles, cousins, and spent most of the time on my grandparents' farm, 7 miles out on the Red Trail. Worked in oil and gas for 38 years. As we know, the last number of years have been a little challenging, tough to find work here. So I chose to run for council to help affect change. Not change for the sake of change, but to help improve this town both financially, economically, and as a community. I've coached minor sports, helped and headed up organizing sporting events that have brought teams and spectators all over the province of the town, baseball, hockey, In my job, I've worked in large projects requiring multiple disciplines to get the project from design to completion. Also managed, trained, and mentored people on these multiple projects. I say this to our I say this so our voters will know that working in collaboration with others to get something done is not foreign to me. If I have the privilege of becoming a councillor, I look forward to working with and for the taxpayers of this town to address concerns or recommendations and bring them to council. I also look forward to working with council to do the best we can for this community. When it comes to the tough decisions to be made, I won't be one to go along just to get along, but one to do it because it's the right thing to do. I thank everybody again. I look forward to the support on October 18th. Thank you.
Dan.
Okay, I'd start off by thanking the Chamber, my fellow candidates, and the Sugartown Sweet Talkers. Hi, my name is Daniel Remford. I've lived in the town for 40 years. I graduated from St. Mary's in 1998 and attended post-secondary in business management in Lethbridge. I've been working in downtown for the last 20 years at a family-run business. Shortly after my oldest began playing hockey, I became passionate about volunteering by starting out coaching his team, then joining Tabor Minor Hockey Board in 2013. 3 years ago, I was voted to be the president of Tabor Minor Hockey, which is a position I still hold today. 2 years ago, I was approached to become a member of the Tabor Police Commission, which really sparked my passion regarding a role I could play on town council. As a business owner in downtown Tabor, I have got to witness firsthand how great our downtown is, but also seen some of the struggles that exist with maintaining a business in town. I've grown to understand that Tabor needs more businesses and or housing, as well as ideas on how to keep a vibrant, thriving community. Due to all my volunteer positions, I have developed the ability to listen, communicate, and implement others' ideas. The need to not shy away from crucial conversations. When those conversations are necessary, I ensure that everyone feels heard and respected. Navigating the pandemic as a president and as a business owner taught me the skills needed to make tough decisions by utilizing the voices of others who may be directly impacted by those decisions. Communication has shown to be an essential skill that I have developed during this time. As I have mentioned, I can thank the position that I have taken on the Police Commission to grow my interest. Over the last years on the Tabor Police Commission, I've gained insight in the structure of municipal government. I believe this has helped me to understand what my role could be as a member of town council, dealing with budgets, dealing with town employees, and have personal time needed to fulfill my role in this position. Lastly, I would love to remind the residents of Tabor that I've been a resident for 40 years and plan at least another 40. And I'm aware there is so much that I don't know that I will have to learn to navigate as I go. I can say I will bring passion, my time, and the love for this town if elected. I promise I will make informed decisions and promise to hear your opinions and concerns. I plan to do all these things for today, tomorrow, and in the future. Thank you.
Chad.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank the Toastmasters and the Chamber for putting on this event. My name is Chad Ross, and I grew up just outside of Tabor while attending school in town. My family has lived in this area for many years, and I am proud to call Tabor my home. I went to Lethbridge College and got a diploma in accounting, and then I moved on to the University of Lethbridge and got a Bachelor of Management with a major in finance. I worked in the financial industry for 5 years in Lethbridge before moving to Tabor and joining the oil and gas industry. I've invested in multiple residential and commercial properties in Tabor, and I personally know how great of a place it is to invest. Tabor is a community where house prices are mostly attainable while having a household income well above national average. I believe we need to build more attainable housing throughout our community as there is not much on the market for rent or sale. We need to work with investors and developers to get these projects off the ground. I would like to see the expansion of our business park by getting new lots to market and projects off the ground. I would like to see our downtown revitalized. However, I know it's more than just updating storefronts. We need to expand our downtown beautification grant partnership with Community Futures to include structural repairs. Many of our buildings downtown are not structurally sound, and we need to fix them to increase. and we need to fix them to increase the economic life. This will bring businesses to town. It's hard for them to invest in already in buildings that aren't structurally sound, as you don't know what the costs are to rebuild. I believe many people, I'd like to see the continuation of our walking trails, expansion of the trout pond project, and build out our biking trails that Trail 77 has already started, and make sure that we continually maintain the infrastructure that we already have to get the maximum lifespan out of it. I'd like to ask for your vote on October 18th to help with make my vision a reality, as I believe many of you have the same vision as I do. Thanks.
Joe.
Good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum. And thank you to the Taber Chamber and the Taber Sugartown Sweet Talkers for hosting and moderating this evening. My name is Joe Stravas. I'm a resident and a businessman of Taber for the past 29 years. In the last 8 years, I've been served on town council. I'm a previous recipient of the Spirit of Taber Award. The last 4 years have been incredibly trying, with COVID being a major factor for the past 2 years, which has affected town resources financially as well as mentally draining for all of our town employees. Fortunately, the town received $800,000+ from the provincial government to cover some of these costs. In the past 4 years, the town expansion of the trail system, the revitalization of the trout pond with camping facilities, the new Lost Paws facility, the completion of a new centralized emergency services building, which has driven residential building permits up substantially, and the establishment of the new Meadows community focusing on affordable housing, as well as the ongoing upgrading of aging infrastructure. A huge thank you to the William Ferguson bequeath for enabling the town to complete both the trout pond and the emergency services building. With the planned expansion of 200,000+ acres of irrigated farmland being added in this area, Taber is poised for some huge industrial agribusiness growth, which as a community we need to be ready for positive commercial and residential growth. The extension of 56th Avenue to 864, the wetlands holding pond. A huge bouquet goes out to the Communities in Bloom Committee for their continued beautification of the town, which includes hanging flower pots, flower beds, and equipment displays, as well as all the hundreds of other volunteers who give tirelessly to make Taber a great place to work, live, and play. I will continue to represent the residents of Taber to the best of my abilities on a progressive basis with minimal tax increases by utilizing donation, grants, and community labor. Thank you.
That concludes our opening remarks from all of our candidates. We're going to start with just one warm-up question for everyone, short and sweet. Hands up question. Who bought their candidate material locally? All right, the first question for our first 4 candidates. How have you already been volunteering or serving in the town, and have you had any experience sitting on other boards? Pat.
Thank you. As I said in my introduction, I'm a firm believer in volunteering. As I say, we build the community we want to live in, and that's whether it's coaching or sitting on boards such as the Taber Public Library, which I did for 6 years. I also volunteered at the museum board for some time, work I really enjoyed, and I make full use of the facilities in Taber and deeply appreciate them. I'm a daily swimmer. I used to golf and I used to bowl. As far as sitting on other boards, the last 8 years I've been with Holy Spirit Catholic School Division, and I'm still in that role until the election. Those 8 years I've learned a great deal about governance, cost efficiencies, and advocacy. From those 2 boards, I've been also sat on 2 provincial boards. One is the provincial Alberta Catholic School Trustee Association, And they also sent me to an organization called GRACE, which is Grateful Advocates for Catholic Education. So a great deal of my past 8 years has been spent collaborating, arriving at mutual decisions, and doing one of the things I do very well, listening. Thank you.
Wanda.
I've been volunteering on quite a few boards over the years. Actually, I started volunteering when my parents were young. My father was a bank manager of the CIBC, and he told us that we've always had to give back to our community what we get. So volunteering started at a young age for us. I believe that you have to volunteer, your children have to volunteer, your family should volunteer, and giving back to your community is important. I guess that's about all I can say right now. Thank you.
Jack.
Thank you. I've volunteered on numerous committees. I think I've sat on just about every town council committee there is. I was heavily involved with the Tabor Spray Park. As a kid, I was in 4-H and played minor hockey. That's not really volunteering, but when I'm not able to help, I've given cash donations to help projects continue through and do lots of in-kind work to help.
Peter.
I'm brand new to volunteering, but I'm a quick study and I'll pick it up quickly, and I really look forward to helping the community.
Our second question for the next group of 4. What is your position on how Tabor has handled the COVID-19 restrictions or lack thereof? What is your stance on vaccine passports, mandatory vaccines for businesses or workplaces? And would you create a bylaw that would force businesses to ask for vaccine status? Garth.
Thank you. That's quite a mouthful. My position on the COVID, how Town of Tabor's handled the COVID situation, I think reluctantly, but in a way which made the most sense at the time, but we were being outguessed all the time by different orders of government, of course, and there's no such thing as doing the right thing sometimes when you don't know much about it. I'm of the firm opinion that I listened to the experts, I listened to the Alberta Health Services experts, doctors, and when they say do something, I'll do it. We as a community, I think, are very lax in being vaccinated. I think that's very unfortunate. There are probably 3 reasons why. First one is cultural, second religious, third is political, and perhaps a mixture of all 3. I don't understand it. It goes beyond my capability to figure it out. I will say one thing, please get vaccinated. Thank you.
Monica.
I think that the town of Tabor has done a wonderful job in following the provincial mandates that have been put in place. I think that when we are asked to wear masks and get vaccinated, that people have tried to comply. I know that a lot of people struggle with understanding it and feel pressure to be vaccinated, and I completely understand that. I definitely think that nobody should be forced to, and everybody should have that chance to make their own decision. COVID passports are something that I understand why the province is putting that in place to try and keep everyone safe. But I don't think that there should be a mandatory bylaw put in place for businesses to force people to have that forced upon them. I think businesses should be allowed to make their own decisions on what they should be doing for themselves. And we as a council can't force town businesses to do certain things for their own. It's like a private business, right? And so we have to respect them. But I think that we as a community should follow the provincial mandate and let them direct us in this, as they're the ones that are the experts, like Gar said, on this subject. Thank you.
Carly.
Thank you. I believe Tabor has handled the COVID-19 crisis as well as could be expected. we have basically followed the provincial mandates. The only exception would be when we brought a mask bylaw in before the provincial government did, and that was because the numbers were rising, and we felt that it would help. Whether it did or it didn't, I suppose history will tell. As far as vaccine passports, I think that the provincial government has been pretty clear with their Restriction Exemptions Program. I don't think that it's necessary to put a bylaw in place. And I think that whether you agree about the restrictions or not, we just need to consider the greater good. Think of your neighbor rather than yourself, and try and just consider the greater good, whether that means vaccines or masks or just following the provincial mandates, so that hopefully we can get out of this at some point. Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you. I agree with that. Everything that's been said so far. As a town, we of course have to follow the provincial guidelines and mandates, and which we have done. I'm not opposed to vaccines. I've been vaccinated 3 times. I've had my first and second shot, and I've had the booster shot also. Now, that said, I still feel that people should have choice in their lives. And if you look at the science, I think it stacks up well, that it's probably in your best interest to do that. I think we have to use wisdom, though, and I think we have to understand that people don't always see it the way we see it. And it's I'm reminded of a saying that says, God only helps those that help themselves. And I think if you were drowning and there was a life preserver there, would you not reach out for it? And I think some of the things that are in place for us to get through this trying time are there, but we have to exercise choice and make good choices. And we have to be accountable for our own actions. And you know what? This will pass. And I hope that it doesn't divide us as a community. Oftentimes, we pit ourselves against each other. But oftentimes, the things that we think hold us down are really there to protect us. I use the analogy of a kite flying in the air. And some people would say, well, that's kind of weird. You're limiting that kite's ability to fly. But really, the thing that gives that kite safety is that string that holds it down to the earth. And so when you cut that string, away goes the kite and it crashes. So sometimes the things that we think hold us down are really there for our protection. A good example would be, why is there a center line in the middle of the road? You know, that's for our protection. Can you imagine what it would be like without a center line? So I think we have to embrace it in the right attitude and do all that we can. And use good judgment. Thanks.
The next question for our next group of 4. It seems that new groups are popping up each year with plans for new ventures and activities. How many more can our town support with financial requests and citizen involvement? It's burnout already happening and fatigue and despondency setting in, which already weakens the existing groups and strains the town budget. Can you please comment on this? Lori.
Thank you. That's a very interesting one. One thing that is near and dear to my heart is we did used to have a cat rescue in town. Unfortunately, they were forced to shut down because of lack of community support, lack of town support. It seemed that all the funding went, funding and support went to other areas. So if more groups would be willing to work in collaboration with each other, pool resources, it could only bring a bigger, better facility or group to have a bigger voice in the community, in other levels of government or whatever. So I do believe that's a valid point. We are getting very thin with resources, so we do need to collaborate, and that is one thing that one of my big interests is the unity of said groups and such working together. The TOPS group, Take Off Pound Sensibly, I was a member of that, and our group was actually the biggest one with 13 members and there was another group with 3 members. So, collaborate, get together. Why each group pay rent on their own when you could get together and pool all your resources? So that is something that I would definitely love to work on. So I'd appreciate the support there too. Thank you.
Elf.
That's an interesting question, and it's from the work that I've been doing over the years, it raises the specter of duplication of services, and often we find that when these interest groups are coming forward and proposing their cure for what ails us in the community, there's often a service already available to do that. And we end up funding organizations and duplicating the services. If there's an added value involved, then we would take that into consideration. If someone is, coming forward with a new idea, something innovative, something to help the community and the greater good, then that's worth taking a look at. But what is the motivation? Just to get together to get a grant, or is the motivation there to get together and put their shoulder to the wheel and get the job done? Coming forward after some success and asking for a grant would be a much better position than just coming in with a proposition and an idea that you want to throw, and asking for grant money to operate it. So I think that anybody coming forward with anything, it has to be measured on the merits of what it has to offer the community. And once that consideration is done, then perhaps they would qualify for some granting system, whether it's provincial or whether it comes from the local community funds or not. But these are tough times. Someone mentioned here the next 4 years are going to be a bit of a grind, and they are. We're looking at some tough times ahead. So I think moving thoughtfully and purposely on efforts to support some of these groups without a proven track record might be a bit of folly for the town, and we'd have to be very careful about that. And I think that scrutiny is something that would need to be applied liberally in those situations, because they're asking for public funds, and those funds belong to the community, and they're not just pet projects or I fall in love with an idea. Thank you.
Joanne.
Thanks for the question, and it's actually very thoughtful, because if we review last council's meeting, $30,000 of taxpayers' money was donated for a fence and for a curling bonspiel. And I question whether that's really a good value for our tax dollars, especially since we're in such tough economic times. As our community is prosperous and, we have great economy and great growth. We see businesses and community members actually donate to certain organizations, and I can honestly say that this is perhaps what we should focus on, is the economy, boosting our businesses and growing as a community, and then the trickle-down effect would be to support some social groups or social activities. So that's my 2 cents on that.
John.
Thank you for the question. New ventures, I think everybody comes up with some type of a venture, some type of an idea that will sponsor or benefit a group. We have to look at it and see what is going to be the beneficial value of it from the group and from the people that are presenting it. Is it something that can be applied for through other venues versus the financial support from the town? Are there other groups that would partnership with them that maybe they can do what they need to do with value and volunteerism and dollars through, say, community support, or other interest groups that would give them the needs that they're trying to acquire and to get. Just to give someone dollars because they come forth and ask for it. We've had organizations that have come forth and wanted dollars and cents that have had financial backing in their own character. But instead of spending that, sometimes they want to come forth and ask other organizations, whether it's the town or other value-added businesses, for funding for this. I think we have to be cautious as to what we're going to donate and give our dollars to, make sure that it's going to benefit the residents and the people of the town. And there's got to be more value than just asking and handing out dollars. Thank you.
The next question for our next group of 4. The Trail 77 group, with a membership of over 180 members, has worked closely with the town council to help beautify, develop, and maintain trails for hiking, walking, running, and biking. The group has presented an approved master plan for future trail development. With events such as the Tabor Tough, Old Man Mayhem bike race, and other group rides and runs, the volunteers has helped Tabor to become a destination for many within our town and outside our community, and added to the economic value of our town. With this in mind, what future trail developments would you support as a town councillor?
Thanks for
We'll
that
start with
question.
Mark.
It's Mike, yeah. I really don't know much about that proposal, so it'd be tough for me to comment on it, but anything that gets people out, active, bringing people to town has got to be a good idea. But again, you'd have to see the proposals and look at them on merit and decide from there. But again, I really don't know much about their proposal, so that's about all I can say about that.
Dan.
Trail 77 seemed to have done a lot of good work. It seems like everybody has a bike nowadays. You just about need a loan nowadays to buy one. But any activity, like the skate park that brought youth, I would like to see Trail 77 promote the youth. I know there's talk of like a dirt type, like our skate park. It's called like a pump track. So anything like that to keep our youth going, like I always thought the skate park has really helped and kept our youth doing stuff. The walking trail, so Trail 77 putting money towards youth activities would be great. Thank you.
Chad.
Hi, thanks. I know Trail 77 is a great organization. My son was a participant in their kids' summer program, which was really good. It was a low-cost activity. He didn't even need a fancy bike or anything. And a lot of the land that they're using for their trail systems isn't land that isn't very developable where it is. So I think it's important to help them with the land and use our resources that we can give them, because the land that the town owns in that area, it's not being used for anything else. So we may as well let them develop it for a recreational activity. And I think it's good to support them to get more people into our community. I noticed a lot of people down at the park when we were down there from out of town. I had a few people ask me, where do you start on the trail systems? And that's good to see, because it means it's bringing people into our town. Thanks.
Joe?
Yes, thank you. The Trail 77 committee has done a tremendous job in what they've done out in that area there. And they're one of the organizations that has done a lot with very little financial commitment from the town. They've raised their own monies. They've done things with their own volunteer labor. It's not like the arena where there's an overhead that the town has to support and what. This is all outdoor activity. It gets it gets youth, adults, men, women, seniors out there in the outdoors, and you know, on a health commitment, biking and running, and you know they're doing tremendous things. As far I've seen their master plan, what they want to go ahead with. You know, they want to create a pump track there off to the side of the trout pond, which is fabulous because it gives younger kids a place to ride their bikes and all. I've seen where they want to add more trails through the coulees and whatnot. You know, the whole trail system is so cost effective for the town because it gets people outdoors doing things, and all you have to do is take a look and see how many people use those trails all the time with relatively no financial commitment from the town. As far, I think we've given them $5,000 a year for a couple of years, and I think the MD has done the same thing. But they put their own time and effort and volunteerism in there, and this is one of the groups that we need to support, that come to bat and do things on their own time and commitment. So I support them wholeheartedly. Thank you.
We'll go back to our first group. We'll do it in a little bit of a different order, sort of from Peter to Pat. The question is, Council began to make the necessary amendments to the dog bylaw. Why have these important changes to the bylaw not been completed? Will you make certain this antiquated bylaw is amended and updated, as many other responsible pet-friendly communities have done, to remove the breed-specific legislation? Peter.
I'm not very familiar with that subject. My son's heavily involved with the dog shelter, so that should be an incentive for me to make sure that things move along in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Jack.
Oh, thank you. I think the amendments to the bylaw are a long time coming. We're on the right track to make the right amendments. We want to do it right. When we do it, we have some very responsible dog owners in town, and we have a system in place for those who are not. So it's coming, but we want to do it right the first time.
Wanda.
Thank you. This is kind of a sore subject for me because I do have a pit bull dog. I believe that the dog bylaw in Coaldale is probably the best bylaw there is. I don't have the information in front of me right now, so I would have been prepared more. But what they have is they put in place is where there's 3 people on the council in Tabor for the bylaw for the dog right now. So right now we have our bylaw officer. If something happens with the dog, that the dog will be either put down or put down. Right now is what we would like to put into place is, with the Coaldale one, is that the dog would be on a council. So it'd be like, let's say the police chief, a veterinarian, and the bylaw officer would recommend the dog, and the dog would then have a development where it'd have to go through areas to fit into their criteria of Coaldale's bylaw. So I believe if we bring into that bylaw into Tabor, that it would help us with our problem that we're having with commercial dogs. Thank you.
Pat?
Thank you. I'm a cat lover. I have a cat at home, and I'm shy around dogs. So naturally, when I hear the word pit bull, I get kind of panicky. However, I think that the bylaw needs amendment, but I don't think it should ban particular breeds. I think that owners of any animal, be it a dog or a cat that is allowed outside and in contact with other people, should undergo rather critical test to see if they understand, if that individual or family understands how to control the dog, what to do in an emergency. The dog has to have obedience lessons. Of course, try with that with a cat and you're not going to be very successful. But I think there should be, you can't just go out, shouldn't be able to just go out and get a dog and take it home and do whatever. There should be qualifications to have a dog, particularly certain breeds, such as pit bull. I think that pit bull should also be routinely physically examined at the owner's cost. So it's a tricky question for me because I bring a lot of emotion in because, as I say, I do have a nervousness around dogs, but I certainly don't want to punish all dog owners because there are a handful of irresponsible. But I'd like to see that playing field leveled out. Thank you.
The next question for our next group. In a recent council meeting, a taxpayer came forward with a raccoon pest problem. She had contacted TPS by law, who said it was not their problem. Should the town not have a means to control pests, if not in the mandate of bylaw enforcement office? What plans would you implement to address the problematic animals in our town? Nuisance neighbors' cats, stray cats, skunks, raccoons. Mark.
Good question. I addressed this question when that came to us directly, and I believe that there is a mechanism to actually do that when you contact the bylaw services in Taber. They are set up to take care of those things, and they do have the traps, and they will go and do what they need to do there. I think that the thing is you have to go through the proper channels, and I think there was a miscommunication there because they are willing and able to do that. So that would be my answer to you.
Carly.
Thank you. Yes, when that resident came forward with the raccoon problem, we made a motion, I think, to deal with it, but after further investigation, which is probably what we should have done in the first place, was look into the bylaw a little bit more, as there is a program in place through the Taber Police Service and our bylaw program that will lend traps or assist residents with trapping nuisance animals. As far as pets, nuisance pets, neighbors' pets, I don't know that would qualify, nor do I think people should be trapping their neighbors' pets if they are a nuisance. I would recommend speaking to your neighbors as a first step. Thank you.
Monica?
I agree with what has already been said. I think that there is a bylaw. I know that there is a bylaw in place that can help with dealing with these issues. I can understand having a raccoon being a major problem, and I would also want to get rid of that problem as quick as possible. And so the town is offered to help us, and I think that's important to note. I also agree that neighbors' pets, that's like a, kind of a sore spot to try and just trap their pets and take them away. But especially cats I know do wander and can, if you don't want their cat into your yard, either scare it away, and if you're having an issue with it, go and talk to that neighbor and potentially, bring up and have that discussion that cat continuously comes into your yard and your space and you don't appreciate it, and see if there is something that they can do or you can do to help mitigate that. I think that conversations sometimes just don't happen because people are afraid to have confrontation, but most people in the town are friendly and can understand your concerns. And I think that especially pet owners, they'll take responsibility for their animals because they are proud to have those animals in their house, and they want to also respect their neighbors. And so I think that we just all need to respect each other and take that into consideration. Thanks.
Garth.
Yeah, thank you. The raccoon issue came to our council about 2 months ago. The lady did a tremendous job in presenting her dilemma. If I remember correctly, I think there was a mommy and daddy and 3 babies. They were kind of cute, but they were not in my backyard. It's an issue for that particular couple or that particular neighborhood or town, and I understand there's more issues with raccoons in Taber, which is relatively new to me. What we did, I think, as a council at the time, we said, well, let's look at our bylaw. I think we need to make some amendments to that bylaw to put a little bit stronger measures in place to catch these suckers and go on from there. I think that I find it interesting that the last two questions I've been through with animals. I find that interesting. Thank you.
The next question for our next group of 4. Will you commit to reading your council packages prior to meetings and asking questions when you have them rather than keeping quiet because the meeting is being recorded? And I think we start off with John.
Thank you. I believe that as a council member, you have to receive your package, do your due diligence and your homework prior to council, and read all your PDFs and do your checking on your history. As I said on council for several years, I believe that is one thing that I had done, and I believe everyone on the council at that time did the due diligence and their packages and that, and not necessarily open them at the time of the meeting. I believe that you have to be prepared. You can't go to a meeting of any nature unprepared and not ask questions. Sometimes if you open your package at the time of your meeting, you're unprepared, you're asking questions that could have been answered prior, and you're just detaining and holding up the process of council and their decisions. No, I believe that you have to do your due diligence and your homework to be on council and get your packages and open them up and make sure that you've done everything that you can for looking up the requisitions in history and whatever you have to do to make a decision, to make a sound and good decision. Thank you.
Joanne.
In general, I'm normally a very structured individual, and I like to be prepared. So I believe that there's a deadline for material to be handed in to council to prepare us for the meeting, and so therefore I would take the time and make the effort to be as knowledgeable as possible before I came to the council meeting, and then I would ask the appropriate questions to make sure that my decision is fair and valid. So that's how I would handle that situation.
Alf.
Well, there's a great danger in making an uninformed decision, I can tell you. I've seen lots of them, and you can tell when you go to a meeting who's prepared and who isn't. When the order of business is being carried on, you see those who are being thoughtful, understand what's being said, and then you see the others that are glancing down the table to see what the next guy is going to do, because maybe they know he read his package. And Joanna has great notes. I think I'm going to borrow them here. So, yeah, that really goes without saying. You know, it's a responsibility you have as a community leader, as a leader of anything, to be informed, to know what's going on, so you can make those proper decisions and add to the conversation. Thank you.
Lori.
Hi, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Preparation is key to any form of a group venture, such as council. So reading the packages is critical so that you're prepared, and voicing your opinions or questions in council is just as important, because that is why there is a council of 6 plus the mayor, is so that there can be the input from many voices, not just one. Thank you.
The next question for our last group of 4. Will you vote to amend the existing Town of Taber flag policy to allow for the pride flag and any other celebratory flags to fly at the administration building? We'll start with Joe.
Yes. The flag policy is a policy that needs to be reviewed. There's certainly some connotations to it, to what can be flown and what can't. And the problem comes in when you give accessibility to fly a flag. You have to make sure that the people that are flying it are a responsible group. You know, there's there's the connotation out there that you hear that, well, they're allowed to fly the flag, why can't I? So the bylaw has to be structured in such a fashion that it eliminates discrimination against others for wanting to fly a flag as well. So that is a tricky bylaw to format. So yeah, I'm an advocate for diversity. So we'll have to see what comes forward in the near future if we get elected.
Chad.
I think this is a bylaw that definitely needs to be looked at and changed. I think you need to have a policy in place, like you said, that says that you gotta have certain flags only on it. I think that needs to all flags that are requested to go on it should have to promote unity in the community. So I think that yes, they should be allowed to fly their flag on the town flagpole, but there needs to be a limit on who can do it and who can't.
Dan?
Joe and Chad's points are very good. Chad bringing up unity, the LGBTQ community prides themselves in unity. Pride is one of their big things they talk about. Raising a flag for them, I would have pride as a Tabor citizen in doing. So I would agree with having that flag up. Thank you.
Mike?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'd like to say, first off, it's just a flag. And I know that lots will agree and disagree with that. The reasons for flying the flag are important. Joel brought up a good point that we have to make sure that the groups whom wish to fly these flags are scrutinized in some way. But again, I'd have to look into that one a little bit deeper. But that's all I have for that.
All of those questions were presented from the public. The public has also asked some specific questions to our sitting councillors as well as specific questions to individuals. We'll begin with all of our current sitting councillors. The question is, please explain why under your watch it seems like there's a revolving door of staff leaving at the town. We'll start with Carly.
Thank you. I would remind people that when you sit on council, you have one employee, and that is the CAO. Everybody else that works at the town works for the CAO. So it's not the role of council to become involved in operational matters. That said, the current revolving door, as the question said, is disappointing. I think it creates distrust among employees, and there's no continuity. It would not be my choice, but that said, I try and walk that line of making sure that I voice my displeasure without interfering in matters that are not something I should be interfering in. Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you for the question. With regards to that, Councillor Firth is right. We have one employee, and that's the CAO. Stands for CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer. Chief Administrative Officer. The CEO is the mayor. And I think what we need to do is we need to have faith in our current leadership. I know that we have lost a CAO a little while back, and two people stepped in who already have full-time jobs. And they took the reins and have done an admirable job, in my opinion. And I think they have tried to do the very best that they could. And our job, I think, on council is to support the CAO or the two acting CAOs, and to not give them support is not a healthy situation. Those people are trying to do the best they possibly can in a difficult situation. And I think that's our job, is to sustain them. And it's like any organization. If you have leadership and you have a mutiny brewing underneath of it all the time, that's not a healthy situation. It's not a healthy environment for the people that are working there either. And so I think we have to trust that they know more than we do. You know what? I don't spend much time in the town office. Not at all. These people work there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they know the internal goings on, and they know a lot more than we do, and we pay them well to make good decisions, and I think it's our responsibility to sustain their decisions.
Garth.
Thank you. I think Councillor Firth said it very well, and you can tell she sat beside me for 4 years, right, Carly? Because this is one of my favorite topics to speak about, governance, because a lot of people don't understand what governance is. And like Carly just said, we have one employee, which is called the CAO, and the CAO makes all decisions regarding the operation of the town of Taber. That includes all staff. The only power that the town council has is to give the CAO direction of a certain type. But we may not give him direction to hire or fire someone. The only hiring and fire we can do is the CAO. And if people understand that, it makes life a lot simpler. I think it's unfortunate. I think it costs a lot of money when you release people, or when people quit and move on, or whatever the reason might be. It's not ideal. But you know, sometimes things do happen, and sometimes they happen 2, 3 in a row. Funny. Thank you.
Joe.
Yes. Again, council is a governance body. We have one employee, the chief administrative officer. He makes all the decisions when it comes to hiring and firing staff. You know, and if he's got staff members underneath him that, or she, the administrator, that's not fulfilling their job, it's his decision to let those people go. And you have to have trust and faith in the individual that you have hired to make those decisions. Unfortunately, early this year, we lost faith in our CAO, and we made a change there, and rightly so. We had two other managers in town just step up to the plate and did a tremendous job running it. You know, it's you can say it's a revolving door, but in the administrative world, people come and go regularly in those times, and I know you like to have people stay forever, but sometimes an influx of new people and new ideas, just like we have here on council. We're probably going to get a bunch of new council members, if not a whole new council. So they bring new ideas to the table, and and hopefully they'll perform well while they're at the table. So yeah, we have one employee, and that's it. Thank you.
Jack.
Thank you. I can't add a whole lot more to what my other fellow councillors have said. We do only have the one employee, and that is the CAO. It is our responsibility to hire the best CAO we think we can. CAO is a lot like a coach of a football team or something. If his team's doing bad, he knows his job's on the line. If he sees something, a problem that looks like it's going to cause problems in the future, he has to rectify that. Sometimes it's a firing or moving positions around or whatnot like that. We as councillors don't work side by side with their staff except the CAO. We don't work one-on-one with them. Technically, we're not even supposed to really discuss matters with the staff except the CAO. So there's a lot of trust we have to put in our CAO. And there's some reasons we may not know why people were fired or what was said to who or what, but we have to trust our CAO. It's a very important job for the town and one that's a lot of stress put on. So that's my answer.
The next questions are directed specifically to certain people. Mark Garner, please explain why you resigned from the Taber Chamber Board earlier this year.
The reason I decided to step down is I had been there quite a while. I made a mistake in inadvertently saying something that I shouldn't have said, and I thought it was best for me to step aside.
Okay. Jack Bruin, please explain why you resigned from the Police Commission earlier this year.
Thank you for the question. And I really appreciated Mark's answer to his. It was personal reasons. Again, we all make mistakes, and I made probably one I wasn't very comfortable with, and I didn't feel it was proper. So it was a personal choice for me to resign.
Carly Firth, you have been the only female voice on council for 4 years. Please tell the citizens what it means to see other women on the ballot and what it means for representation in our community.
I have been the only female on council, but that said, I've always felt respected and listened to by my fellow councillors. I'm really happy to see the number of women that have chosen to put their name forward, and just the number of people in general that have chosen to put their name forward on the ballot. I think it's a sign of a healthy community when people are involved and want to be a part of decisions. As far as representation, I think it's important for council to reflect your community. And so I'm pretty sure there's more than, I don't know what the percentage of 1 out of 7 is women, but I'm sure there's more women than that in Taber. And diversity in age and perspective and just other points of view are important as well, not just male, female. But I am looking forward to seeing more than one woman on council this time. Thank you.
This is a longer question, and it's for Joe. You were in Arizona during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, despite public calls for your return, and explain yourself as a leader in our community. Please explain why you felt this was inappropriate for a community leader during a time when elected officials were asked to stay home and show solidarity with their fellow citizens. If elected, will you be leaving Taber for the United States for an extended vacation? Granted, you may meet your meeting and board obligations via electronic means while out in the country, but how can you be accessible to your voter base while gone?
Well, first of all, in today's world, and you can see that right here, we're doing a meeting by Zoom or electronically, however you want to put it. That's a fact of life in today's world. So where basically where you do those meetings from is really, it really doesn't matter, because Trudeau asked all of his MLAs to stay and do Zoom meetings from wherever they were. The thing is I've been in the workforce for over 50 years. I'm entitled to holidays, just like everybody else at the table here. Where I decide to take my holidays is a personal matter. The fact is that I took time out of my holidays to attend the council meetings by Zoom. I think is a bonus for me, because I didn't skip those council meetings. I stayed committed to those. And I get lots of text message, phone calls, and emails from people that inform me. I'm well known in the community, so I do participate in the meetings full-heartedly.
Mike, Your answers to the Chamber 10's questions were not well researched, and you mentioned that you want to have less government in people's lives. Why are you running for council if you don't have a vision for the future of its local government?
I guess that's a matter of opinion, whether or not they were well researched or not. Like I said, running for council, I'd like to affect change, not for the sake of change, just to try and make this community better. And I've been around this town long enough and seen some things that I thought, be brave, make a change, do something, try and make a difference. That's it.
There was one more question that came in earlier tonight while we were answering our other questions. What I'll do is I'll ask the question and we'll have everyone to have 2 minutes to respond. And we'll start over with Joe. Forgive me if I don't read it very well. It's not typed. That's how I like to read. Please tell us how, in your previous work, and especially community service, you're able to demonstrate that you can address issues objectively and work pragmatically and collaboratively without political bias or agenda to create policy that has as its sole objective the protection, benefit, and building of our community so that Taber remains a great place to live, work, and raise families. Joe.
Well, that's quite a complex question. The fact is that I've been a businessman in town for 30 years gives me a real insight to the feeling of Taber. And I've always contributed highly to different, like minor hockey, different programs in the school system. Years ago, I did a pizza program to encourage kids to read in several schools in town. I've always been well supportive of the community and make decisions, and I've made decisions in my business that was best for my business and best for the community in the support that I've done. And then I carried that whole thought process over to the governance of the town. You have to make decisions based on what's best for the community. So and this is written into the Municipal Government Act, by the way, is that you have to take the whole issue of the town so that they all benefit the same way from that, not just a few.
Chad.
Thanks. I've had lots of experience with dealing with having to be impartial in decision making, working in finance. I know when you do loan applications and stuff, you can't look at someone and be biased towards what they're doing, but you have to look at their plan as a whole and how they're carrying it out and how they plan on executing it. And that's something that you need to do on council. You need to look forward. You need to put your personal feelings aside because you may not see it as viable, but other people do. And you got to look at the research behind it all. Thanks.
Dan.
I've worked with my dad in the Royal Hotel, and I've had to be a very social person. I've had to listen, communicate, fix problems, to further business. As president of Taber Minor Hockey, I've dealt with hockey parents, with kids being cut from the A teams and stuff like that. So in my volunteer life and my business life, I've been very social. I've never been shy to turn away from the problems. So I would say them qualities would make me great to deal with council. Thank you.
Mike.
Well, based on the last question, I want to make sure I answer this properly, so I'm going to ask you to read that properly so I make it informed. And I think that the rest will appreciate having that read again. Thanks.
Please tell us how, in your previous work, and especially community service, you're able to demonstrate that you can address issues objectively and work pragmatically and collaboratively without political bias or agenda to create policy that has as its sole objective the protection, benefit, and building of our community so that Taber remains a great place to live, work, and raise families.
Thank you. Based on my previous volunteer positions, president of the Golden Sons Association, working in the industry, large projects where people had to come together, collaborate. Somebody had to facilitate, all these things coming together. One, for example, the Golden Sons at one time were homeless, and I brought a bunch of people together, got an agreement done with Taber Minor Hockey, and has since this AA program has made its home in Taber permanently, I would think. Also, the decisions made, again, if you're a councillor, they can't be your personal. You have to take what other people think, make sure that it's good for the town, financially viable, different things like that, and listen to other councillors, listen to your tax-paying citizen, and remember there's only one taxpayer and we have to be mindful of the money. Thanks.
John?
Thank you. With my background as years back as a past councillor, as well as the work that I do at UFA as a customer service representative, it's given me the opportunity to allow it to listen to the public, to listen to their needs, their desires, and their concerns. I believe that through those qualities, I would make a good councillor to sit, and I am able to communicate and work with other people, other councillors, other groups. The committees that I have been on throughout the years, I believe also gives me the opportunity to become well-versed in what the needs and the concerns of the public are. Thank you.
Joanne?
Thank you, and that's a very thoughtful question. As the health and safety coordinator at our business, I have the education and the skills to actually investigate, to find out the root cause, not to find fault or blame anyone. Always try and come up with a solution and move on. So that's what my policy would be, to act as a councillor and be a part of making decisions for the town. Also, I volunteer for the Chamber, for the Joint Economic Development Committee, and I also was a part of the Subdivision and Appeal, Development and Appeal Board, which also a few things were appealed, and we had to handle it with the utmost confidentiality, and hopefully we served the best interest in those parties involved. So that's how I would handle that.
Alf?
Okay, so we want to divide that up into how my work qualifications and how my volunteer qualifications would would enable me to make proper decisions and unbiased decisions for the town serving on council. So I've got 50 years of work. I've got 41 years of those in leadership positions, and I served as police chief for 18 of those. That's equivalent to a CEO position when you're dealing with large budgets and large contingents of staff and all that comes with that. I was the provincial president of the First Nations Police Association. I served on the Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police. I was the provincial president of the Alberta Police-Based Victim Service Association, which guides and directs 74 victim service units in the province. I served as a member of the Taber and District Community Adult Learning Association. I'm currently the chair of that board, and we do great business here in the community and are a big concern and a big payroll. And in my role with First Nations Policing, I was awarded the as a member of the Order of Merit by the Governor General for the work that I did in establishing and furthering the efforts of First Nation policing in Alberta. I think that I was successful in those positions because I was unbiased and fair in my decision making and analytical in approach to solving problems. And I would bring that to the table. Thank you.
Lori.
Thank you. Yes, previous experience. I have a wide range of work experiences, life experiences. As Dan can probably relate, working in bars, restaurants, that type of thing, you have to be very social. You have to be diplomatic on what you say. I've worked. Transportation is mostly my background. Transportation supervisor, transportation manager for 2 different school boards. So a lot of dealing with the schools themselves, the parents, the children, the drivers. And you've got to look at the whole big picture. And I am able to do that and put it together so that it works and is understandable to everyone and that most people can agree with it. So, and to remain unbiased, that is very evident in a small town like Bowden. Being on council, it was really tough because there was a lot of people out in the county that depended on services, and I did actually have one situation where I voted for the good of the town, not for the good of a friend that could have benefited from that decision. It didn't go over so well, but we worked through it, and I supported the town as a whole. That's my stance on that. Thank you.
Mark.
I haven't always lived in Tabor. I lived in California for 2 years, and I served a mission for my church down there, and I met with lots of different people. In my real estate business, I deal with a lot of different people on a daily basis. Some rich, some not so rich, some not from Canada. And there's always a common thread that you should have and reach out to people. And whether you're in Oakland, California, or San Francisco, or Grassy Lake, Alberta, selling houses, you should always try to reach out and find that common thread, because we're all human beings on this spinning planet together. And like we've heard all year for the last 19 months, we're all in this together. And I've tried to do that in projects that I've been involved with. Some of the bigger projects that I've been involved with, and Councillor Bruin was with me on some of those, is building that spray park. We were able to tap into a business that sent their employees every day to help us do that. 10 or 12 people that were experts in the field and came and volunteered their labor to us. The stage over in Centennial Park, Tom Patterson and I were in charge of that. And we worked with the Copperfield Hutterite colony because they built that entire complex. And so it's been a nice, diverse experience working with different groups of people and getting along and trying to make Tabor a better place by being open and accessible.
Carly.
Thank you. My previous work and volunteer roles in communications and media, education, and I think primarily the last 4 years on council have made me a great collaborator. I try to listen to all perspectives and look through the lens of what will benefit the most people in our community before I make a decision. Thank you.
Monica.
I lived in Edmonton for a time, and I worked in quite a few hospitals up there actually, and so I have had the opportunity to have almost sometimes too many voices on things. And so one thing that I have had to learn to do is you have to then learn to communicate very well with people and come together and make the decision that is best for what you're trying to achieve. I have also done quite a bit of volunteering with youth, and that is also sometimes hard when youth are very vocal on certain things, but But my stance is to make decisions that are without bias and trying to build our community. Sometimes we need to realize that other people's ideas are better, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, everybody is different, and I think that we need to celebrate differences and diversity and unique ideas. And it's important to stay humble and realize that sometimes your idea is maybe not always the best one, or it could be a good one, but maybe other people have better ideas. But I think we can come together and make the decision that is right for our community and making it the best we can. Thank you.
Garth.
Okay, I have an extensive work history. I'm just going to just back up a bit and say I was born and raised on a farm. I was a special constable with Taber Police Service in 1965. Now, how about dating yourself now, guys? I spent some time at the RCMP. I farmed many years. I sold real estate for a number of years. I'm now the voice of home hardware for a couple of days a week. Love that job. And you know why? Because it's all about people, right? And I don't care whether you're rich or poor. Like Councillor Gardner said, we're all the same. My volunteer history has been leadership position in my church. I got really involved with family and community support services. Also, I'm very involved with Taber Special Needs. I call those the soft services of life, those who are challenged, either developmentally or physically or whatever type of situation they might be in. I have a tremendous amount of sympathy for people with those struggles, and I'm kind of a hard-nosed guy, but to my great surprise, I love that. So I think I'm very well versed to be a counselor. Thank you.
Peter.
Being a self-employed businessman, I've learned two things. Number one, you have to balance the budget. Number two, you have to deal with all kinds of people satisfactorily.
Jack.
Thank you. Well, my history, I guess, a bit. I farmed all my life, born and raised on a farm, family farm. And that faced challenges every day, that you had to find an answer, a way to fix a problem. I learned a lot from my father. He was the chairman of the St. Mary's River Irrigation District for 40 years plus. So I traveled with him a lot. I met a lot of his constituents, I guess you would call them. I was lucky to go to Edmonton quite a bit with him on trips. And I can say I've met every premier of Alberta since Harry Strum, which goes back a way. I have a passion for the town of Taber. I want to see Taber be successful, safe, and a place people want to live. I'm a very good listener. I'm easy to talk to. And I think the important thing you have to remember is that if you don't have the answer to a question, don't make up the answer. Find out, research it, and come back. Follow up on what you're asked. And you have to be very open-minded and willing to change your mind, because sometimes you're not always right.
Wanda.
I definitely feel that that I work well with others. Being a business owner for 28 years and mostly working with women. And I've been working in a lot of committees too. Being in business has its challenges each day. And I work through them with kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance. I believe that those three words are important in your life, and I believe I feel that if you use those every day, then you'll come a long ways. That's why I think I would be a good fix on the council, because I believe in those words: kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance. Thank you.
Pat.
Thank you. In my career, I was a plant superintendent for 10 years, and I was in 2 shops, both Lucerne food shops, and both were union shops. When I came to Taber, there was an overdose of grievances, and after 6 months, the union rep came down from Calgary, and he was quite congratulatory on the relationships that management had built with the hourly associates, because the grievances had dropped next to nothing. And that wasn't because we turned away from the rules, but it was because we put the rules in place that made sense. We listened to people. We watched people, and we trusted people. And we worked collaboratively with the shop stewards and the hourly associates. So I'm very proud of that relationship that I had with both union shops. As a trustee for Holy Spirit, representing Ward 5, which includes the Catholic schools in Taber and Bow Island, I went to board meetings and made decisions with respect to the division as a whole. There was a time, and I won't speak of the details, but there was a time when Taber presented a unique position, a request of the board, and I had to vote with what was good for the entire division that stretches from Pincher Creek to Bow Island. Also, when I went to Alberta Catholic School Trustee Association, I had to think about what was best for education in the province, not just Holy Spirit. And at present, I sit as a Métis elder with the Eagle Spirit Nest Community Association. And although I am Indigenous Métis, I have to sit with a lot of Blackfeet people and learn and understand their culture and collaborate with them about what is best for the society. Thank you.
That concludes our questions for this evening. We are going to continue on with your closing remarks. I'm going to try to mix this up a little bit. I'll start with Lori and move our way that way, and then back to Mark and move our way this way. So we'll start with Lori. Your closing remarks, please.
Thank you. I just would like to say that there's some really good candidates here, that we, with any one of us, it's a win-win situation. So vote with what you have heard and what you research, what you see on the Chamber's website for our answers to the questions, and I would be very happy to support or to be on Town Council in Taber.
Alf.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's been great being here with everybody tonight and getting to meet some people I didn't know. You know, one of my prouder moments, and Pat reminded me of it, was I was given a Blackfoot name when I was working on the reserve. I got 17 years working on the Blackfoot Reserve, and they call me Akstoyina, which means brave man. And believe me, I earned it a few times. And but I was glad that other people recognized that in me, that I took a stand and I did things that were right for the community and did things that were right for the local law enforcement. And also another, I was very pleased to receive the Premier's Award of Excellence for the work that I did on victim services protocol as the Act was being developed and such a number of years ago. But all of that is culminated in where I am today, working with victim services and understanding, you know, those people that I work with on a daily basis are people that are in a situation that they didn't want to be in. And they could very easily be victimized again by the system. And they've come to recognize how that system can work to be supportive and how that system can work to help move people ahead. Just as a councillor, you can support the community and help our community to move ahead. So I think I'd appreciate your vote on the 18th and love to serve with some of these people here and get things done here in Taber. It's a perfect storm. We're ready. Thank you.
Joanne.
As you can see with everyone sitting here around the table, when you volunteer, you end up being a volunteer for life. And I think we have several hundred years of experience sitting here. If I'm elected as a town councillor, I'll be willing to listen, have compassion, and understand public interest. I'll be committed to and have a passion for our community and our local businesses. Definitely, I want to promote shopping local and Taber grown. I thank everyone for their support and consideration for Taber Town Council.
John.
Thank you. As you've heard tonight, there are many issues with different approaches and how to deal with them. I'd like to ask for your support as I represent the people within this community and ensure your voice is heard as the issues get addressed in the most reasonable, responsible, and sensible manner. I will work collectively with administration, elected officials, and the community to ensure everybody's interest is heard and considered before decisions are made. On October 18th, please cast your vote for John Papp and allow me to help build the future, making Tabor a better place to live, work, and to play. Thank you.
Mike.
Well, first off, listening to the taxpaying citizen is something that it's important as a councillor, and myself training a lot of people over the years. The one thing I always did was default to myself when things didn't go right. Did I do the explaining? Did I give them enough information? So that's something that I'm good at doing, I guess. I was a little perplexed by the question that, will you be prepared in council with your package? I think that's part of the job, and the fact that the question came up was kind of mind-boggling to me. So be assured I will be prepared for the job. I liked some of the voices about freedom of choice. I think it's a fundamental part of our existence, that we shouldn't be forced into something. So I look forward to it. It'd be an honor to be elected and work for the people of this town, and think of me on October 18th, and thank you, everyone.
Dan?
I want to start out by saying that I recognize I may not have all the answers, but I believe in being transparent and honest about information that I do not know. What I did here tonight is that there are some issues facing our community, like the economy affected by COVID, future infrastructure improvements, raccoons, and I'm excited to work with fellow councillors to find solutions that are available to us. But I want to assure you that I'm committed to exploring and learning every option and avenue that is available to me if I was to be elected. This would be to ensure my decisions and actions spoke to what you as the community and the town of Tabor deserve. In conclusion, I want you to know that I'm extremely passionate about this community and want my children to grow up feeling the same way about Tabor as I do. I'm committed to ensuring that we build our community in order to have the best today, a better tomorrow, and an amazing future. So vote Remford on October 18th. Thank you very much.
Chad.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to watch the Chamber Forum that they've put on for us. I want everyone to know that economy and recreation will be two main topics of many that I'll work hard if I'm elected on council. I know we have a big opportunity over the next 4 years as our town grows, and we need to have people with a vision and a plan to make it happen. I'm willing to put in whatever it takes to help our local economy and get businesses off the ground and help Tabor grow. With the expansion of irrigation acres and the twinning of Highway 3 upon us, I think it is imperative that we have a council with a plan. We need a plan to increase the amount of housing, of all kinds of housing quickly, as we see the increase in number of jobs in our area. I know it is important to work with companies to get processing facilities built in Tabor, as they contribute significantly to our tax base to help us combat inflation and through growth. We have a beautiful town that is great for raising a family. I want to keep it that way. If you check out my Facebook page, you'll see my full platform as well as my 5-point plan to help our town grow through our economy and recreation. I believe we need to focus on growth and make a solid, unified grant proposals to other levels of government to make sure that we get projects off the ground, making Tabor a better place. I'd like to ask for your vote on October 18th to help make our vision a reality. Every vote matters. Every vote counts. I'd like to thank everyone who's already voted for me. Thank you for your time this evening. If anyone has any further questions for myself, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm available on Facebook. My phone number and email address are made public. Please feel free to reach out.
Joe.
Yes, I am a business owner-operator. I have a proven track record on council, and with my business experience, I understand the financial statement of the town, and that's imperative. I do my research, and I go prepared to meetings. And All the information is there on the YouTube channel from the town of Taber, and you only need to follow that to see how engaged I am. I'm usually the first one to ask the tough questions. All I can say is looking for your support. Vote for Joe when you go to the ballot. Thank you.
Mark.
Just to recap a couple things maybe I missed. Prior to running in 2018 to be a councillor, I attended town council meetings. I was the only person in the gallery there. And I watched for a year how it worked. And for those who were there, they can testify that I was there. And that was a great experience because I kind of knew what was going on. Some things I missed this evening that I'd like to interject is I'm on the traffic committee. I'm on the Municipal Planning Commission. I've been on the Chamber of Commerce for about 8 years now. I've helped with Cornfest for about 8 or 9 years and done all the stage entertainment, booked those loud bands that play late at night, and even some country singers. And one thing I have learned being on council is you're one voice, you're one vote too. And if you can't work with other people and convince them to see it your way or you see it their way, then you have nothing. You have nothing. You have to be a consensus builder, and you have to be working with other people because it takes 4 votes to make anything happen. So I've learned that talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. People can sound really good. Talk's cheap, but results are priceless. And I would ask for your support on October 18th. Mark your vote.
Carly?
Thank you to the thoughtful answers from all of my fellow candidates tonight. I just wanted to close by saying, while change is important and sometimes necessary, wholesale change for a council can be disruptive. I have the unique perspective of being a younger candidate, raising a young family, with the experience of 4 years on council. Thank you for your consideration, and I would appreciate your support on Monday, October 18th.
Monica.
I'd like to thank, I'm grateful actually to have this opportunity and thank everyone for being here. It's been a unique experience to get to know everybody a little bit better, and it's been really nice because a lot of people I still don't know very well, but I am glad that we held this event so that I could get to know people a bit better. I offer a fresh perspective, and I want to contribute to a more diverse council. I look forward to serving the town to the best of my ability and to ensuring Taber continues to be a place of growth and a community that supports its members. We are going down in history for having the most candidates that are running, and I think this will make for a great opportunity for the town to have a healthy and diverse town council. I implore you to go and take your democratic right and vote and take part in making this the best council ever. Thank you.
Garth.
Thank you. During the introduction, I said there was too many of us here, I said. I said that tongue-in-cheek. I think this beautiful country, we have a democracy which is second to none. I think I applaud all the people that are around this table for the excellent job we've all done tonight. I think I've been to about 7 forums now, I think. This is by far the best one. In closing, I'm not looking for your votes, but I'm just saying. I like to emphasize a couple of things here. I like to emphasize that we have been remiss, I think, as past council to spend more time and effort and money on roads. Our roads are becoming in terrible shape, I think, but it's very expensive, but we should try and harder, I think. And like Councillor Strova said, regarding the budget, the most important document any council can pass in a given year is the budget. It's the people's money. It's not our money, it's your money. So that's a sacred obligation and sacred trust that people put in us if we're elected to take care of the money. I think that I have the experience, of course, and I'd love to serve another term on council. Everybody knows me. I'm fairly vocal, but I'm also a very good listener. Kind of a rare combination. Vote Garth. Thank you.
Peter.
I think you can see tonight I'm a man of very few words. I'm more about action. Let's get on with it.
Jack.
That was a quick lead in. I'm going to read something that I actually have on my Facebook page, and I think I used it last time I ran. I think it's important now as it was when it was written. Why should you actually run for council? You should run because you wish to serve your community, to provide good leadership, to plan and build for the future. You should run because you have a contribution to make, ideas to be shared, passion that won't abate, and a commitment to do the right thing, no matter what. You should run if you understand that you will have to sacrifice popularity sometimes, and family time, and that you will sometimes have to make decisions that benefit the community as a whole, but don't benefit you personally. You should run if you want a better future for your grandchildren and your grandchildren's grandchildren. I'm a fair and honest councillor who listens and has followed my word and based my judgments on community's feedback and needs. I love this town, and I feel Taber is only going to get better. We're sitting in a very good place with all the new irrigation acres, the twinning of the Highway 3. Taber is going to be the place to be for big business. Please vote for Bruin on October 18th. Thank you.
Wanda.
Thank you. My skills of being on the Taber Police Commission, especially as the current chairperson, has given me the understanding of the more technical aspects of the council and how to run meetings and using the agenda technology that the town uses. Understanding bylaws and reviewing budgets and was experienced with me on council and being in business. My passion for the community and my history as a small business owner has made this town my family. I have built many strong relationships within the community, and I'm a team player, and very nervous tonight, by the way, and truly have the town's best interests in my heart. My history in business and developing my ability to utilize budgets effectively, manage conflicts, and adapt to any environment. I welcome the opportunity to work on the town council and to continue to provide the community a beautiful place. Thank you.
Pat.
Thank you. The three things that I would like to work on, if I'm lucky enough to be entrusted as a councillor, entrusted with that role and privilege, is transparency, equity of opportunity for all people, and diversity. I think that diversity is very important. Through diversity, we become stronger. I am a big Stephen Covey fan, for those of you who are familiar with Covey, and I follow his planning techniques almost to the letter. And one of the things that he has talked about is being principle-based. So the issue about, for instance, in a bread plant, an hourly employee may not want to wear a hairnet. The issue is not the hairnet, the issue is food safety. Or an employee may not want to strap on to when in a forklift. And the issue is not that employee and that employee's personality, the issue is safety. So I believe in principle-focused decision-making and not get involved in some of the other stuff that's flying around. I am an extremely hard worker. I have been all of my life. And one of my faults, I think, is that I over-prepare. Quite often I prepare longer than the actual meeting. I believe in fiscal accountability for all councillors, and I'm quite financially literate. As a plant superintendent, of course, I had a budget and I had to live within that budget. I'm also a believer that when you make mistakes, you learn from them. You're held accountable for your mistakes, but you learn from them, you fall forward, so to speak. And I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid to make hard decisions. And although I would like to be popular, that's not what I base my decisions on. If I principally focused, and if somebody doesn't like me because I made the decision, so be it. Thank you. I get carried away, obviously.
That concludes all of the questions that we've got. The councillor or the candidates have all presented their final remarks. I'd like to bring this forum to a close by thanking the Chamber of Commerce for putting on and hosting this event. I'm also very, very proud to see how many people are putting their name forward, how many candidates that we have for this position. And I'm sure that there's going to be almost everyone from Taber going in to view this online and have a good look at your platforms. So in conclusion, we will call it a good night and encourage everyone to get out and vote on Monday the 18th. Thank you.